Donald Trump appears to be cracking. The man appears, whoopsie daisy, the man appears to be losing his cool, if he ever had it, and attacking reporters now. Yeah, that's the guy that the right has deemed their champion. That is the guy that the right believes is who should be president next. Yeah. Look, here's Midas Touch talking about it. We're going to come out, we're going to interrupt plenty with why this is a good thing, believe it or not. It's shameful that it's happening, but it is ultimately a good thing for the United States and the rest of the world. Here is Midas Touch with the report on Trump attacking a reporter who was asking him questions about the many crimes he's committed.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. It is now being reported that back in late March, when Donald Trump was on his way on his airplane to Waco, Texas, where he gave an absolutely horrific speech before a small crowd in Waco, that on
Real quick, some of the wicked community are not in the United States. If you are not aware of the significance of Waco, Texas, well, that is where a cult had a standoff with the U.S. government in the 90s. And as a result of that, a lot of cult members died, including children, as their compound that they were living in burned. So for a president, a former president, and somebody who is running for president to give a speech outside of Waco is in and of itself, it should be offensive to any decent human being. And if it wasn't offensive to you, you either didn't know what Waco is, or you're a bad person, generally speaking.
the airplane, he essentially attacked a reporter. The reporter's name is Vaughn Hilliard of NBC News. And Donald Trump excoriated him for asking just very simple questions about the Manhattan District Attorney's investigation at that time, and then took Vaughn's phone and essentially threw it. And that took place as Donald Trump was going to Waco. I'm sure you remember that rally. We covered it here on the Midas Touch Network, where Donald Trump said some of the most horrific things. I'll play you some of those clips in a bit, but I want to show you this reporting right now from Vanity Fair, which
I realize that reporters are not supposed to be part of the story, but the first thing that should have happened after Vaughn Hilliard had his phone thrown by a former president of the United States is Vaughn Hilliard should have either picked up one of the phones that was still working or gone and got a different one and jumped onto social media and say, "Hey, America, just so you know, Donald Trump attacked me." That is what Vaughn Hilliard should have done. Weakness, yeah, I'm calling it like I sees it. Weakness, like allowing yourself to be attacked because you don't want to make a big stink about it, is unacceptable for the press. Now, this is not to say that a person who is attacked in like civilian life has an obligation to do something about it. They don't. But imagine for a moment, instead of a member of the press, this was a police officer. Imagine somebody ran up to a police officer while they were in uniform and snatched their taser and threw it down the street and ran away. And they just didn't say anything about it. They didn't file a report, yada, yada, yada. Or their captain said, "You can't say anything about this." Somebody in that chain of commands got to go, because we shouldn't be finding out about this just now. Now, maybe Meiselas is going to break down why there was this delay. I only watched part of this because I wanted to. It seems like a enjoy the popcorn moment. But my criticism of the reporter here is that you're helping to establish a country where it's okay to treat a reporter in this manner. And that is part of the problem.
talks about this incident with Vaughn Hilliard. And this is what it says in the Vanity Fair article. It says, Vaughn Hilliard, who suggested that Trump had in recent days seemed frustrated by the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's investigation, began irritating Donald Trump on the plane. Quote, "Don't ask me any more questions," Trump said. About 10 minutes later, as Hilliard continued to ask about the investigation, Trump snapped, grabbing the reporter's two phones and chucking them to the side, according to a source familiar with the matter. "Get him out of here. Get him out of here," Trump then told his aides, according to a recording obtained by Vanity Fair. Yes, Vanity Fair got the recording where you can hear Donald Trump yelling at Vaughn Hilliard and saying, "Get him out of here, get him out of here." And then you hear silence and then a thud, which is the phone dropping after Donald Trump took the phone and essentially threw it.
I'm going to assume that Vaughn Hilliard was being physically dragged away. Physically dragged away. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I'm trying to give Vaughn Hilliard the benefit of the doubt. If you ever get overpowered by a 77-year-old man who's having a tantrum like a toddler, you don't have the guts to be on that plane. But you know what? I'll give him credit where it's due. He did have the guts to ask the questions. Good. Good, Vaughn Hilliard. Good job. If Trump got angry enough at you to have a little tantrum with your phones, you should be a little embarrassed that he was able to grab a hold of your phones and toss them. I acknowledge that surprise was probably a factor here. But you're worth having there, Vaughn Hilliard. Nobody else was, apparently. If Trump is capable of having this kind of a tantrum and embarrassing himself and the rest of the United States by behaving in this way, when questions are asked of him, the only questions that should ever be asked of him are the kind that make him have a tantrum. This guy needs to be exposed for the psychopath that he is, for the gigantic old infant that he is. He has a basic understanding of English. Let me be fair. Toddler. The very old toddler. The ancient Padawan. That needs to get exposed more and more and more.
Did throw it. The Vanity Fair article goes on to explain how some of this was previously reported, but not that Donald Trump took the phone and threw it and lashed out the way he did. As Vanity Fair points out, it was previously reported that when he was responding to certain reporters' questions about the Manhattan District Attorney's probe, Donald Trump said at that time, "It's a fake case. It's a fake case." And then he lied at the time and said, the Manhattan District Attorney has already dropped the case. They've totally dropped the case.
Remember, this is a historic case in which, literally, it's going to be written in history books. They didn't drop the case. It is the first time a former president has ever been indicted. So they surely did not drop the case.
That's what he was saying. Just so you know what a liar he is, that's what he was saying in late March to the reporters. He goes, "We did nothing wrong. This is fake news. This is fake news. NBC is the worst. Don't ask me any more questions. You are fake news." That was from the previous reporting. But from the previous reporting, from the new recording that exists, you have Donald Trump basically says, "I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you," referring to Hilliard. "Do you hear me? You are not a nice guy. You are not a nice guy. All right, get him out of here. Let's get him out of here. Out of here. Out of here." And then he goes, "We're done." And then you hear a thud of the phone, which Vaughn Hilliard was using to interview Donald Trump. And that.
When I say Donald Trump acts like a toddler, I'm not using that to exaggerate to make a point. I'm being literal. He has the behavioral development of a young child. He problem solves. See that face Ben Meiselas is making? That's how I feel when I look at people who take Trump seriously. That is what I think of you. If you take Trump seriously, that's my inside thoughts worn on Ben Meiselas' face right now. Because you're admiring someone who didn't have social development beyond the age of 2, maybe 3 years old. You're not my friend anymore, he literally said to Mike Pence. He literally said, you're not my friend anymore. He got flustered and he threw a phone. Apparently, according to Cassidy Hutchinson, he threw his food while he was in the White House. Ketchup dripping down the wall from where he threw his food. That's Donald Trump. Do you think I'm happy about this? If you're just out of curiosity, if you're a Republican that happens to be watching this stream, do you think I, the opposite of you, the person in direct opposition to your political choices, do you think that I'm happy about this? I'll tell you I'm not. I want the villains of my life story to be worthy. I don't want to be tilted at windmills. I certainly don't want the most dangerous person in America right now to be someone who behaves like a toddler. I don't want joke villains. I wish my life was closer to Batman, written by Neil Gaiman, you know? Instead, my life is freaking what? Dexter's Lab? I got joke villains over here. I got ridiculous, red-faced old men acting like children. That's what we have to deal with. Nobody is happy about this. Pick better champions, you knuckleheads.
That was Donald Trump grabbing it and throwing it, according to sources. I just wanted you to think about that for a moment. Could you imagine that behavior if President Obama or President Biden went and grabbed the phone of a reporter and said, "You're not a nice guy, you're not a nice guy," and then took it and like threw it? I mean, can you imagine the scandal that would be? Could you imagine how serious it would be?
And can you imagine how the left would react? I'll tell you, we'd kick his ass out of the public eye faster than you can fathom. You wouldn't have even heard about the story by the time Barack Obama or Joe Biden was booted out of the public consciousness. Because the left, who these people were elected largely, I mean, they were elected to represent all Americans, but they were elected by the left, we'd be ashamed of it, and rightly so. And the fact that Republicans are not ashamed by this behavior, either because they choose to endorse it, the knuckleheads, or because they choose to pretend like it doesn't happen. That's embarrassing for us all. Because when I talk to folks from other countries, goddamn, I carry a little bit of Republican behavior with my reputation. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. But the good news is, if you're one of these sane Americans who has been against these folks, whether you got there late or you got there just recently, the good news is this behavior tells you the kind of pressure the big baby is under. What was he being asked about when he had his little tantrum? Well, he's being asked about the criminal cases mounting against him. Now he's in the civil rape trial. It's going terribly for him. He's the first ever indicted president. He will likely ever be the first ever convicted president because his defenses are pathetic. We just saw Joe Tacopina arguing in the civil case. You know, he did the standard embarrassing mess that all Trump attorneys end up doing because Trump's defense is incoherent. Because his defense relies on a non-existent reality that he said was so. He is a liar, and that is not going to bode well for him in court. And the pain train is coming for him.
Could you imagine? But here in the modern day, Donald Trump acting like just a complete and utter maniac who's unfit to be anywhere near proximity of power is being treated with kid gloves. And it's like, oh, that's just Donald Trump being Donald Trump. No, that behavior is not normal. That behavior is despicable. Frankly, that behavior is criminal. You know what that is called? Another name for that is assault, and it is also theft. You can't steal someone's phone and then throw it and grab at them and lunge at them. That's assault and battery, and it's also theft. That's what that is. But
I really want Vaughn Hilliard or his corporate masters to press charges. If they have evidence that this happened, there's no reason why they shouldn't press charges. And this guy's behavior needs to be treated exactly like it would be if anybody else acted this way. Police in Waco should have collected Trump. If we lived in a fair country, they would have.
At the same time with that news breaking, it's also been reported that CNN and its reporter Caitlin Collins is going to be hosting a town hall for Donald Trump. CNN has now become the new Fox, apparently, and this is CNN announcing that they will be doing the Trump town hall in New Hampshire. Here, play this clip.
And just into CNN, former President Donald Trump will participate in a CNN presidential town hall next week. The former president will take questions from New Hampshire Republicans and undeclared voters who do plan to vote in the 2024 GOP presidential primary.
Okay. Believe it or not, this is also good news. CNN, you know, for a long time, we've been talking about how they're going to take advantage of Fox's failures to try to steal Fox's audience. This is media motivated by money. So of course they're going to try to do that. But you know what? We've known for a long time what CNN's biases are. They're biased towards the rich. They're biased towards the people that sign their checks, the corporations that purchase ads on their programs. Okay, neat. Guess what MAGA has done for this country? They have exposed the corruption. They didn't mean to. They thought they would be exposing how those evil Dems are out there. I don't know, what was it, drinking baby blood? But they are so incompetent that they take others down with them. And if CNN is willing to bite this apple, they deserve the poison they're going to get. They deserve to no longer be taken seriously by anybody ever again. If you have friends and family that are watching CNN, give them warning. Make it crystal clear what this town hall means. Donald Trump is a traitor to the United States of America, and they're choosing to give him a platform. Kill CNN viewership with these decisions. Embarrass them. They deserve it.
CNN This Morning anchor Caitlin Collins will moderate the May 10th town hall at St. Anselm College at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Stay with CNN News Central.
I mean, how humiliating and embarrassing can you get? I mean, do y'all remember that Waco wacko event that Donald Trump that held? And yeah, that's what happened on the airplane with the reporter, the incident I'm just reporting on now that broke in Vanity Fair. But remember Donald Trump? Donald Trump said this about Stormy Daniels and the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal investigation when he went to Waco. Play this clip.
You know, Marjorie is here, Truth to Vote, and they found at least 5 million instances on tape, and the courts didn't want to even look at it. The District Attorney of New York, under the auspices and direction of the Department of Injustice in Washington, D.C., was investigating me for something that is not a crime, not a misdemeanor, not an affair. I never liked horseface. I never liked. It's just not. It's terrible. That wouldn't be the one. There is no one. We have a great first lady.
Yeah. Look, Ben Meiselas has nailed it. The Trump doesn't need to do any more to demonstrate that he is unworthy of breathing the same air as the rest of us. He is worthy only of sitting in a prison cell for the rest of his days. Now, I'm assuming his days are less than 3 decades. But if he manages to serve a full, I don't know, but 30 years, yeah. If he manages to serve that amount of time, then I would believe he is reformed enough to walk free. What he's not worthy of, certainly, is, number 1, being a free man. Number 2, running for president of the United States. Number 3, having anyone on the planet Earth admire him for anything. He's scum. And if CNN is choosing to platform him, this guy that attacks reporters, this guy that attacks women based on their looks, there's a classy move. If he continues to lie as he does every single day, if he continues to engage in stochastic terrorism, then it's frankly no different than he's acted up till now. He's already demonstrated that he is not worthy of being platformed. CNN has embarrassed itself by choosing to run a town hall with this punk. The good news is he's cracking. He's cracking like an egg. And we need only, when it comes to him, we need only keep up the pressure on the Justice Department, because frankly, it's inevitable that he will go down for the crimes he has done. And let's just hope he takes as much of the American taint with him as can be hoped for when he goes down, finally.